If you have a wooden dummy, you know that striking this thing a lot starts to wear on your knuckles, and you know that in the long run, it's gonna lead to damage to your hands. So how do we wrap it and give it this really cool traditional look at the same time? I'll show you the easiest way I know next. Okay, so what I've got here is just some basic nylon blend rope from Home Depot. I'm gonna try it out. I went with white because it has kind of a classic look, but you could do any number of things. And so let's talk about how we tie the dummy. And maybe we should start by talking about why you tie the dummy. So when you do that, you're creating a softer surface to hit that's not directly hitting this, right? My dummy actually is splitting some, which is not exciting. So that doesn't hurt to have something binding it as well. So here we go. Now I got quite a few feet of this rope, but really it's gonna be based on the circumference of your wooden dummy and how many times you want to cover it. I went with quite a bit because I want to cover it both here and here for both the higher strikes and the lower strikes. Since mine is on a spool, I'm just going to take that spool and set it on the arm so that way it has somewhere to roll off of while I do this. To me, the secret of making this look really nice and clean and having it wrapped tight and being able to tie it easily comes down to the same method you'd use to whip the end of a rope. So what I'm going to start with is just creating this bend in the rope. It's not a full loop, right? And I want that to drop as low as the area that I want this to span. So I want this to cover the area that I want to tie. Now to begin this, I'll go ahead and turn this over. To begin this, you're going to take and come around and start to secure this piece here. So as that continues around, the second wrap is the one that starts to actually lock it in place. Now you can grab above and below and create your tension. And now just start wrapping. Okay. Easier to come over the top of the dummy than it is to try to wrap all the way around or tie everything up. Right? So each time working to keep that tension and bring it around. Now it's as simple as that. So now you see I'm gonna kind of grab and kind of pull down. This is helping me set this in place and also create this tension up and down, keeping these wrapped together. Lastly, as I finish this up, I wanna go ahead and take this, and I'll keep a fair bit of it. So I'll take this out of here and just go ahead and cut this end free. Since this is nylon, you'd usually burn it right afterwards, but didn't come prepared for that. Okay, so this is not typically how you'd want to do that because it's going to start to unspiral. But what we'll do is we'll just fold it through, and we want to come up through this loop. So now what you can see is that I've come in and through the loop that we made earlier. That's why we ran down to it. And then you take this top end, and that's what allows you to cinch this up. You notice that it's actually starting to tuck underneath there. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to create that bind, and you grab both top and bottom and pull. And remember, this is where our nut end is. This is where the back of this is. So you can see that once I cut this and burn this, that this is still gonna be nice and clean all the way on the back. I don't have a bunch of knots and things like that to deal with. You could knot it around. You could bring these together and tie them together if you wanted to, but you don't have to. So that's it. Let me cut and clean this and we'll be all set. Now, scissors work best for this, any kind. This is just something from the kitchen, and I've got just a Zippo here. What helps is to start by burning the area that you plan on cutting so that it doesn't come loose when you start to cut. Now this way, those individual strands are bound so they don't start to do this when you're done. So take that and cut that through. So you see that because we burned it ahead of time, it helped keep those connected, which is what you want. Otherwise you're chasing it and it's a huge pain. So now at this point you can take and burn the rest of this in, just making sure that all of those fibers are bound together so they're not gonna come loose on you. Now, like before, I can just go ahead and tug on this to bring this end up a little further. And once I've got that kind of snugged where I want it, I can take this and just tuck it underneath here. So a nice clean look. It protrudes a little bit, but that's all. Still has a nice clean look to it. So then do the same thing to the top. The closer you can burn this to where you want to cut, the less will show. For these coiled ropes, it helps to add a twist the direction that this wants to go to help tighten that down. Okay, with that done, we'll just trim this last one. Then like before, we'll burn this last end, let that cool, and then once that's in a good shape, you can just tuck that down below. So that's it. You can go ahead and tighten it up and kind of make it look the way you want to look, but really we've got some nice clean ends that just kind of disappear behind that. So we'll go ahead and turn this around. So once we turn this around, you can see that we've got a really nice, neat and tidy looking rope, which allows to have this striking surface that's just a little bit softer, okay? So you're not having to wear gloves while you work, so you can still have that tactile feel when you work the dummy, but you're not necessarily just pounding directly against wood. Bone to wood, you know, when you're hitting with these small knuckles straight into the wood, it wears on you over time, and that's not gonna be good for your joints in the long run. So having even just a little bit is gonna go a long way. Hope that helps. If you have questions, drop them below. In the meantime, keep training. Catch you in the next one.